Hi guys, John from B&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Toyota Granvia. So it's a 2003, as I say, based on the Toyota. So what I'll do is I'll start you under the bonnet, walk all the way around the outside, and then I'll jump inside and show you what we've got going on in there as well. So over on the left hand side, we've got some fuses and relays in this box over here. We've got your brake fluid, which is attached to the servo just there behind it. Your air filter sits inside this box just down here at the front. You have got power steering fluid in this little reservoir here just to the left as you're stood over it. Your engine coolant expansion tank is this one just here, or basically this is the top of the radiator, but this is where you would top up your engine coolant. Towards the back you've got your engine oil filling point just down there, and there will be a corresponding dipstick for that just down here. So other than that, we've got a couple of things. In fact, just briefly on the coolant thing here. So this is the top of your radiator, and this is that little coolant expansion tank I was saying about. So it's not very big, but it is just a little expansion tank. So actually this is the one here that you would top up. Your two batteries just here. This is your leisure battery here at the front, and then your starter battery here at the back. They're linked together so that when you start the engine up, the leisure battery gets charged up by the engine battery, which is obviously a nice handy thing. Other than that, up here we've got your washer, wiper motor up here. A couple of relays and fuses, all to do with the back end of the vehicle again up here. But that is about it really for under the bonnet. Oh, apart from your washer fluids just down here as well. So to get the fuel filler cap open, most of the time on the Toyotas they've got their own little handle. Yeah, so if you just see down here to the left of the driver's seat, you've got a little pulley just there with a little fuel filler cap symbol on it. So if I have a little look around here now, see the fuel cap's open. So that's obviously a petrol filling point for there. Not much to show you on the near side, to be honest. It's not really, they don't tend to have a huge amount on these near sides. I will just point out actually, just before I carry on and forget, that you have got behind the driver's seat, so if I just show you how to move this forwards. If I can have a little look down there. I'll just put the camera down just for 1 sec, just so I pull the seat forwards. So once I pull the seat forward, I can then pull this little handle here, and that'll then lean it back. If you have a little look down here behind the driver's seat, you've actually got this little drain here. This is actually your fresh water drain off point. So if you wanted to drain out the fresh water from the van, you twist that thing open. So at the moment it's in its closed position. And then you twist it 90 degrees so it's in line with the pipe, and it will drain out any water from the fresh tank out onto the floor. On that same note, you have also got a wastewater drain off point, which if I get down here and have a little look. So your wastewater tank is this one just here, and you can see you've got a draining point just there on the side. So that is your wastewater drain off point, and your freshwater drain off point is inside. Right, so speaking of the water tanks, you've got your freshwater filling point just here on the offside. So if you need to fill up your fresh tank, you literally just push in around to the left on this little cap, and that'll allow you to take it out. That is where you fill up your fresh water. This is all to do with like an external aerial, so people generally speaking don't use these anymore, but it's there if you want to. You've then also got your electric hookup point down here. So if you did have access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have that plugged in. And in fact, I'm just going to plug one in now, just so that I can show you what it will look like inside when you are plugged in. Switch that on. So with the electric hookup plugged in, it means a couple of things. It means that you'll be able to use any mains powered appliances, which include your mains powered sockets, which there probably are one or two of. Without a hookup cable in like that, you will not be able to use any 3-pin sockets. So any household sockets or appliances has to have the electric hookup plugged in. But yeah, there you go. So at the back of the van, we have got the tow bar down here with a nice little bit of metal across there, so you can actually stand on that. It's super strong. So that's really handy to help you get in. I'll just point out, I know it's kind of inside the van, but I will just show you in here. So you've got your gas locker down here. So hence why I've taken these cushions off this seat and lifted the bit up. So the gas locker itself is very, very straightforward, to be honest. It's all up to regulation because it's all kind of, you know, sealed unit and all that sort of stuff for when it was built. But essentially, all you need to know, to be honest, is that you've got the actual bottle top regulator. Well, sorry, not bottle top regulator. You've got a bulkhead regulator, which is this thing over here. And this little part here that screws onto the top of these bottles. So to turn the gas bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left. And if you want to turn the bottle off, we go clockwise all the way around to the right until it stops. All right, so literally just all the way like that. And now it's off. So, other than that, in the gas locker, you know, this is all the regulator. This is what regulates the amount of gas that goes into the van. And then this here is for our testing. So, you know, you haven't got to do anything else with here. The bottle itself is sort of strapped up, the little strap down the bottom there. All right, so when you come to replace this bottle for another one, bear that in mind, it is strapped in. But yeah, that's about it. So the only thing that's under here, under this near side seat, is the Webasto heater. It's down there. Not that you need to get to that for any reason, but you just need to know, basically, make sure you don't cover that little vent up there. But yeah, that's about it really. So on the near side, you have got the wind out awning up the top here. So this awning, if I'm completely honest with you, looks to me, when I did the ham check, like brand new. You'll see when you first wind this out. I mean, these particular Omnistore ones are particularly good anyway, but it literally looks like new. So yeah, been really, really well kept. Clearly not been used a huge amount, but I've lubricated it all up, so all of the little hinges and bits and pieces that move have all been lubricated and it all works perfectly. So that's a very nice thing. So the type of sockets that I was saying about are these ones here, your sort of household sockets. They're the ones that will not work unless the hookup is plugged in. These little sockets here, so you've got two of them. You've got this one here, and you've got another one just down there. The little circular ones that say 12 volt on them, they should work when you haven't got the hookup plugged in, because they will run off your leisure battery, basically. So the reason that they do that, and the reason they give you that option, is because you might have a motorhome TV, which will tend to work either on mains or 12 volt. So, you know, you've got that option there of using it without the hookup being plugged in and blah, 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 blah. So that's the idea behind that. Now, the other thing to point out is that you have actually got a TV aerial up on the roof, which is why this here is plugged in to there. Okay, because that's your TV aerial socket down there. The sort of corresponding bits and pieces for the TV aerial are inside this top cupboard. So this is what you call a tilt and turn TV aerial. So to actually get it to move around, you just undo this little nut here, which was a bit tight. Undo that and then push this up and move it around to wherever you need to move it around to. Okay, when you're driving around, you should really have that pulled down as far as it will go, and then tighten it back up. Okay, hasn't got to be mega tight, just a bit. You've also got just down here your TV aerial booster, which you will need to switch on when you want to actually get a signal coming through. So the actual TV aerial will get you a bit of a signal, but you need to have the booster turned on to make it enough to watch telly, basically. So that is just there. The on and off switch is just on the bottom of the actual unit there itself. I probably can't really reach it with my other hand right now, but it is just inside there. It's on the bottom. Well, let me just see if I can reach it. Ugh. This one here. See the red light? All right. So that's your TV aerial booster in there. So I have had to replace these two lights up here because the old ones were a little bit knackered, to be honest. The switches weren't very good. So they are brand new lights. The other two sort of spotlights here are the original ones. Okay, so, you know, they are slightly different to look at, but you wouldn't, you know, you would very rarely notice the difference between the front and back there, which is why I did. But it's actually only one of these that was knackered, but I thought, all right, I'm not going to just replace one, I'll do both. So hopefully that's all right. So what have we got next? So we've also got the 2-burner hob and sink in this one unit up here. So you will need an igniter or like a long reach lighter of some sort to light any of these things up. So you've got top and bottom. So left is top, right is bottom for these 2 burners here. I say it's literally a case of turning the gas bottle on and then lighting it up with your long reach lighter. It doesn't really get much easier than that. The sink, you do need to have this little switch here turned on in order to use the pump. Okay, so if I just show you now that I've turned that switch on, after a few seconds, unless I've run out of water, which I think I have. It's a good example, isn't it? Yeah, so I think I've run out of water there. So, but yeah, essentially the pump won't do anything at all unless you turn the switch on. So just bear that in mind, basically. But that's it. That's this unit up here. Below that, we've got your oven and grill. Okay, so this door here at the front has got this little catch, which you need to lift up in order to open the door. If you try and open it without doing that, you will not be able to take it out. It's a travel catch, so it doesn't fly open when you're driving. So you've got a light in here, and you've got the rotisserie part. If you ever wanted to use that, you've got all the parts for it in there. It just essentially means this is the most sort of top end of these particular units. But yeah, to light it up, you literally got an ignition when you push in on here. So you push in and round to the right for the grill. Just give it a second to light up. And then obviously in and around to the left for the oven, same thing. Okay. So, next to the oven there, between the switch and the oven, you've got the Webasto diesel heating system. Now this is, I believe, it runs on petrol. Now, I might be wrong, okay, so please don't hold me to that. But I was a little bit confused by this system because normally the Webasto heaters are diesel heaters. This is a petrol vehicle, so I was a little bit confused. I might have a little look in a minute, actually. I didn't actually look at the heater itself because it just, when I turned it on, it all just came on and it was absolutely fine. But I thought to myself, well, it's normally it would run from the diesel tank, but this is a petrol. So I'll have a little look into that, actually, just out of interest, really, in a minute. But so yeah, literally all you need to do to get the heating to work is twist this dial here round to whatever number or whatever setting you want, and it will genuinely just literally start going. It doesn't take long. You haven't got to do anything else other than that. Just twist it and it'll go. Okay, so that is your heating. So the other reason that I've opened this little thing up here is because you've got this little locker down here, which is quite an important little area. So what you've got down here is you've got a mains trip board, if you like a, you know, it's like a household trip switches basically. So this is all to do with your mains. So if you're hooked up on the mains and you can't get something to work via the electric, have a little look in there, make sure they're all in the upright position. You've got some fuses down here. Okay, so there's a little bank of fuses just for all the 12-volt appliances inside the van. You've got a couple of buzz bars there, so you've got a positive one and a negative one up there. That's essentially just, when Wellhouse were building the van, that's just essentially their way of keeping all of the positive and negatives in one place. And you've got this, which is your mains charger. So when you plug the electric hookup in, you'll notice that this little mains charger will spring to life. And essentially that will just start charging up your leisure battery, and it will tell you on the front here sort of how far through the cycle it is. But you know, I will say as well, if you find at some point that you have the hookup plugged in but you don't think it's charging the battery, just open this up and have a little look at this. If it's got a little red light up here on the right, it either means it's just got a little bit too hot, or it's got to the end of its cycle, and sometimes you'll find that they'll just turn themselves off. So if you just press this little mode button, it'll just, you know, it'll start charging again, basically. So just bear that in mind. At some point in the van's life, a previous owner has fitted this little voltage tester. So you can see your voltage on there. We're on 13.1, which is a very, very good battery voltage. Obviously, it will be lower than that if you haven't got the electric hookup plugged in. You can expect it to be anywhere between about 11 and 12 volts. Anything higher than that without a hookup plugged in is very, very good. So, yeah, that's about it really for that little area down there. So, the last appliance that I've got to show you is the fridge. Now this is a 12-volt fridge, okay? This is a Waco fridge. So again, another one of the sort of top spec for its time. So I haven't really got to show you much about this, all right? But these 12-volt fridges get super cold super quickly. All I would say is to bear in mind that these fridges do take a lot of power to actually get going. So it might sound really stupid for me to say this because it's, you know, it seems a little bit counterintuitive, but I do say it on every single one of these vans. If you find that let's just say, for example, you've gone away on holiday, and you need to get the fridge cold from warm, as in you haven't had it on yet, but you don't have the electric hookup plugged in. Now that is where you might find that your leisure battery will struggle a little bit, is just the first sort of getting the fridge cold from hot. If you don't have an electric hookup plugged in, they can struggle a little bit. So if you can have the hookup plugged in just for the time that it's cooling down initially, then that is the sort of ideal. Okay, if not, it should be fine, but all it means is that you've got to keep your eye on that little voltage indicator that I've just shown you. Just make sure that it doesn't go down below about 10 volts. Okay, if it starts to go down below 10 volts, you might want to think about starting the engine up and leaving the engine running for a while just to get that charging back through again. And obviously that'll still work with your engine running. The leisure battery will still work and power up this fridge. So, you know, that might even be an option for this particular van. You know, if you're away and you want to get the fridge cold from hot, if it's already cold and it's just sort of trickling over, it's fine. It doesn't take much power at all. But when it's initially getting cold, it does use up quite a lot of power. So if you're doing that, either have the hookup plugged in or start the engine up and just leave it running for a little bit. But yeah, other than that, you've got a little dial at the back, which is essentially just your temperature dial. And you do have to have the switch just there turned on in order to use it. So that switch there, I think from what I can work out, essentially just powers these two lights here at the front, and that ceiling light, the water pump and the fridge. So it's like a 12-volt isolator switch really, I suppose. So I will just turn that switch off now. Okay, so as I said, I will have a little look at that heater at the back just to sort of double check what it's actually running from, because that's quite an important thing to know. But yeah, other than that, I think I've covered everything. I don't think there's anything else that I've missed out. If there is something that I've missed out, then just let us know. Or if there's anything you want us going over again, just give us a shout. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.